In ancient Egypt, the diet of common people such as farmers, fishermen, and laborers who built the pyramids was based on foods that could be produced in large quantities, stored easily, and provided the necessary energy for hard labor. These foods were simple yet vital to their survival, and the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians can be seen in how they made the most out of what was available to them. On this episode of the Lost Taste Centuries, we will explore 15 foods that were the cornerstone of the Egyptian commoner's diet. From humble barley bread to the nourishing beer that sustained workers, these meals are a testament to the resilience and resourcefulness of one of the world's oldest civilizations. Let's step back in time and see how these ancient meals shaped the lives of the Egyptians. 1. Barley bread, tight. Barley bread was the cornerstone of the ancient Egyptian diet. Unlike the soft, airy loaves we are familiar with today, the bread was dense and flat. It was made from barley flour, as wheat, especially emmer wheat, was more expensive. The bread was often rough and coarse, and the grinding process with rudimentary stone mills frequently left small particles of sand in the flour, which led to considerable wear on the teeth of the Egyptians. Despite this, bread remained the most important food for Egyptians, providing a substantial portion of their daily caloric intake. It was often eaten with a side of beer, making it the perfect complement to one of their most basic meals. 2. Beer, henket. As fundamental as bread, beer, known as henket, was a central part of the diet in ancient Egypt. Unlike the beer we drink today, Egyptian beer was thick, more like a porridge or liquid gruel than a smooth, frothy beverage. It was made by fermenting crumbled barley bread in water, creating a nutritious drink that was both calorie-dense and relatively safe to consume, as it was often cleaner than the contaminated river water. Beer was so important that workers were often paid in bread and beer. Children also drank it, albeit in smaller quantities, making it a staple for Egyptians of all ages. 3. Fava beans, foul mesdames. Foul mesdames, cooked fava beans, remain a key part of Egyptian cuisine today. In ancient times, fava beans were slow-cooked in water for hours until they formed a thick, rustic paste. They were one of the cheapest and most abundant sources of protein for commoners, especially in a society where meat was largely reserved for the elite. The beans were typically eaten with bread, making for a simple, filling, and nutritious meal that could easily sustain workers through their long days. 4. Onions, garlic, and leeks. Onions, garlic, and leeks were the foundation of many Egyptian meals. These vegetables were commonly used to add flavor and nutrition to otherwise bland dishes. According to Herodotus, the Greek historian, a record on the Great Pyramid even detailed the vast quantities spent on onions, garlic, and radishes for the workers who built the pyramids. These vegetables were often consumed raw or added to stews and other cooked dishes. Their strong flavor and medicinal properties made them indispensable in the ancient Egyptian kitchen. 5. Salted or dried fish from the Nile. The Nile River provided a wealth of fish such as tilapia, catfish, and mullet. For the poor, especially those who lived far from the river, fish was preserved by salting and drying it in the sun. This salted and dried fish was an essential protein source that could be stored for months, providing nourishment during times when fresh food was scarce. Fish was a significant part of the diet, and its preservation ensured that it could be consumed year-round. 6. Grain porridge, gruel. A simple porridge made from ground barley or emmer wheat. Gruel was a common breakfast dish in ancient Egypt. The grains were cooked in water or, for those who could afford it, goat's milk. It provided a quick source of energy to start the day of hard labor. The dish was basic, but crucial to ensuring workers could endure the physically demanding tasks of farming or building the great structures of the civilization. 7. Lentils and chickpeas like fava beans. Lentils and chickpeas were cheap, easy-to-grow legumes that were an essential part of the Egyptian diet. These legumes were often cooked in stews or mashed into pastes, and they were usually eaten with bread. The high protein and fiber content made lentils and chickpeas an excellent source of sustenance for workers. They were also very easy to store, making them an ideal food to have on hand for times of scarcity. 8. Local vegetables, the fertile banks of the Nile allowed the Egyptians to grow a wide variety of vegetables. Common vegetables included lettuce, different from what we know today, more similar to Roman lettuce, cucumbers, celery, and melons. These vegetables were often eaten fresh and served as refreshing side dishes to complement the more hearty staples of bread and beans. Their availability and variety helped to balance the diet of the Egyptian poor. 9. Dates and figs. Dates were the primary source of sugar for the common people of ancient Egypt. They were consumed fresh or dried and stored for later use. Dates were a natural sweetener and a common treat, providing quick energy and essential nutrients. Figs, especially those from the native sycamore fig tree, were also widely consumed. Like dates, figs could be eaten fresh or dried, making them an important source of sustenance during the dry season when fresh fruits were less available. 10. Castor oil or flaxseed. Olive oil, often considered a luxury, was mostly reserved for the wealthy. For the poor, cheaper oils such as castor oil or flaxseed oil were more common. These oils were used for cooking as well as for flavoring dishes. Though these oils had strong flavors, they were highly nutritious and essential in a diet that relied on plant-based foods. Castor oil was also used for medicinal purposes, and flaxseed oil, being rich in omega-3 fatty acids, provided important nutritional benefits. 11. Lotus root and papyrus. For those living near the wetlands of the Nile, lotus roots were an important food source. The tubers of the lotus plant were harvested, cooked, and eaten much like potatoes. The roots were rich in starch and could be boiled, baked, or roasted. Additionally, the lower stems of the papyrus plant were sometimes chewed raw as a source of fiber. These plant-based foods were essential for those who lived in the marshy regions, providing variety and nutrition. 12. Tiger nut bread, chufa. The tiger nut, or chufa, is not actually a nut but a tuber that grows abundantly in Egypt. It was ground into a sweet flour that could be used to make small cakes or breads. Often mixed with honey, it became a treat for children. Tiger nut bread was easy to prepare and relatively cheap, providing both energy and nutrition. This simple, sweet snack became a favorite of the poor and served as a quick, accessible source of carbohydrates and fats. 13. Small game meat, occasionally. While red meat, especially beef, was typically reserved for the elite and for religious offerings, there were occasional instances when commoners could hunt small animals, such as wildfowl from the Nile marshes or desert hares. Hunting provided a small but valuable addition to their diet, and the meat was usually roasted or stewed. However, this wasn't a daily occurrence, and most poor Egyptians relied on plant-based foods for their main sustenance. 14. Salt. Essential for preserving fish and meats, was an incredibly valuable commodity in ancient Egypt. It was harvested from salt deposits in the desert and was used both in food preparation and preservation. Salt was an important trade item and was often used in bartering. The Egyptians also used salt in embalming processes, demonstrating its widespread importance in their daily lives. For the common people, it was a necessary item for preserving food and enhancing flavor. 15. Nile wat. While beer was the main beverage, the water of the Nile was the ultimate source of life for Egyptians. It was collected in clay pots, which helped cool the water and allow some of the sediment to settle. However, the water was not always safe to drink, as it often contained parasites and bacteria. This made beer a safer option for hydration, as the fermentation process killed many harmful microorganisms. Despite its potential hazards, Nile water was essential for drinking, washing, and agriculture, shaping daily life in ancient Egypt. The diet of ancient Egypt was shaped by necessity, ingenuity, and the resources available in one of the world's most fertile regions. From barley bread to the rich and nutritious beer, the meals of the common Egyptian were designed to provide energy for the labor-intensive work of farming, fishing, and pyramid building. The simple yet effective use of local plants, legumes, and fish sustained generations of Egyptians through their long and productive days. These meals, though modest by modern standards, were vital to the survival and success of this ancient civilization. At the Lost Taste Centuries, we continue to uncover the forgotten flavors of the past and honor the ingenuity of those who survived through resourcefulness and resilience. If you found these ancient Egyptian meals fascinating, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to The Lost Taste Centuries. Let us know which historical meals you'd like to learn more about, and stay tuned for more delicious journeys into the past. Until next time.